Arnold Schwarzenegger talks about success. The first rule of success is to have a vision. We see if we don't have a vision of where we go, and if we don't have a goal where we go. We drift around and we never end up anywhere. He means as we know. He was born in 1947 in Austria after the Second World War. So he was very fortunate that he stumbled on his vision. And he didn't really like Austria when he grew up. He couldn't wait to get out of there. He couldn't see himself becoming a farmer, or working in the factory, or anything like that. Even though his parents wanted him to stay there and have a normal life, but that was their vision. Not him. His vision was totally different. He felt that he was born for something special, for something unique, for something big. Then one day, he went to school. He, remember, was 11 years old. And they show the documentary about America. There they show this documentary, the huge skyscrapers, the high rises, the huge bridges, the 6-lane freeways, and all of this stuff in the same himself. That's where you want to be. He don't want to be around here, in these little farmhouses, in these little buildings. He want to be in America. One day after school, he walked by a store in Graz, so went inside and looked around, and he saw a magazine. He saw a bodybuilding magazine that had Rich Park on the cover. Rich Park was then a 3-time Mr. Universe, and he saw them on the big screen as Hercules. He reads that and he said to himself, wow, this is the blueprint for his life. This is exactly what he wants to do. He wants to become a bodybuilding champion, just like Ridge Park. He wants to get into movies, just like Ridge Park, and he wants to make millions of dollars and be rich and famous, just like Ridge Park. Do you know how great it felt? That he knew where he was going. Imagine, the majority of people don't know where they're going. He knew where he was going. That he's going to become this bodybuilding champion, just like them. So it was just a question of how do we do it. He was so relieved because when we have a goal, when we have a vision, so everything becomes easy. So people always ask him, when they saw him in the gym in the pumping iron days, they say, why is it that he's working out so hard? 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, and we have always a smile on our face. And he told people all the time, he said because to him, he is shooting for gold. In front of Mr. Universe title. So every rep that he does gets him closer to accomplishing the goal. To make this goal, this vision turn into reality. Every single set that he does, every repetition, every weight that he lifts will get Mr. closer to understand the reality. So he couldn't wait to do another 500-pound squat. He couldn't wait to do another 800 pounds bench press. He couldn't wait to do another 4,000 reps of sit-ups. He couldn't wait for the next exercise at the age of 20. He went to London and he won the Miss Universe contest as the youngest Miss the Universe ever. And it was because he had a goal. So let him tell us something. Visualizing it bored and going after it makes it fun. We got to have a purpose. No matter what we do in life, we got to have a purpose. 75% hate their job in America. Now, this is not much different when we come to Europe. The majority of people don't like what they're doing because they're really not doing it, because they didn't have a goal and then follow this goal. They just aimlessly drift around, and then all of a sudden, there's a job opening. So they get the job because you have to work. But then when we work, it's a chore. It's work. It's not fun. So if you think about Only a quarter of the people really enjoy what they're doing in life. That is unbelievable to think about it. So he felt so blessed that he knew what he was doing. It's like a medical student that studies and knows. He wants to become a doctor. We know where to go. And the same thing is also in politics. He remembers that in politics, he had a very clear vision that he will be the leader of California. This is far as he could go, because he was not one in America, so he could not run for president. So being the governor of the fifth largest state, he should say the largest state, the fifth largest economy in the world was for me. Really the ultimate title, the ultimate accomplishment in politics. So even though people came up to him, says, "Why don't we go and run for something smaller? We never gonna make it." He ran for governor, and then 2 months later, he became governor of the state of California again, because he had a very clear vision. What he's gonna do with California. So that's rule number 1, have a vision. Rule number 2 is don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the naysayers. Everything he ever did, the thing that they heard out of people's mouth was, "That's impossible. That can't be done." Or no, that is exactly what he heard in the poor, as he proved to the people, and they can't be done. So whenever someone said to him, "It can't be done," he heard it can be done when they said no. He heard yes. And when they said, "It's impossible," he heard it is possible. He's a strong believer, what Nelson Mandela said, that everything is always impossible until someone does it. Well, he's gonna be the one that said to himself, he's gonna do it, and he's gonna show it to them. Maybe this never been done before. That's perfectly fine with him. But he's gonna do it. And he did not listen to the naysayers. It's all about the hard work that we put in. He said in the Saving Bodybuilding, he worked out 5 to 6 hours a day. He's gonna do the same thing now for acting. And of course, he went to college. Then all of a sudden, he was asked by Tina De Laurentiis at the Universal Studio to star in Conan the Barbarian. And after the Conan the Barbarian, the director at the press conference said to the press, the director was John Bilius. He said to the press, if he wouldn't have had Arnold, we would have had to build one. Now think about that. The very body that they said can never be sold because the time is wrong. A few years later, I'm doing Conan the Barbarian, and it was the #1 hit at the box office when he came out in the sum of 82. Think about that, and the director says, if he wouldn't have had his body, we would have had to build one. So all of a sudden, my body became an asset, not a liability. And the same thing was with Terminator. After we were finished filming Terminator, Jim Cameron said to the press, if Arnold wouldn't have had that accent and talk like a machine, he thinks the movie wouldn't have worked. So think about that. The body and the accent that they attacked was an asset.